Hi, I'm Graham from Second Era of Moles, and if you clicked on this video accidentally, 90 seconds is all I ever ask. Welcome back to another week that was on Pokemon Masters X. We've had a lot of new events come along this week. So we've had the Champion Stadium in Alola, we've been able to team up with Blue and Arcanine, and then we've had a deluge of Giovanni events as they rerun the run-up to the original villain arc. So there's been 4 Giovanni events to sink your teeth into. Probably should start cracking on, shouldn't we then? As always, we're going to start with the Champion Stadium. We're in the Alolan region. There's been another jiggle round of the Elite Four and the Champion. So Hala and Kukui have tagged back in. Moraine and Hao have been sent back to the bench. I've been thinking about this for the past few videos, and I feel like with the raising of the cap to 10k points per week, you kind of lost some of the variety and the flexibility, at least in terms of choosing your points options. So it feels like I have a standard sort of, I can't remember how many, but I only really ever change around maybe 2 or 3 per battle. Whereas previously you could almost change half of the ones that you'd selected. So I don't know, maybe as part of raising that cap, they should have also introduced some more points options in there, just to give you a bit of variety and you're not performing the same sort of choice of 7 battles that you could possibly do every week and doing 5 of them. But for now, we're going to start on round 1, where you get a Sync Move stats boost. I went up against Olivia first this week with a team of Barry and Empoleon, Egg, Blastoise and the player, and Jasmine and Steelix. So you've got Barry in there as your striker, your tech Blastoise can set rain, that's why he's in there, and then Jasmine raises defense. So again, because there's less variety, I feel like I've talked a lot through these strategies before, so it's going to be more of a flying through it, hopefully. He says as he spends like 5 minutes introducing it all. So with Barry, you're doing no hesitation. First up, with your Blastoise, you're doing on my mark. Jasmine is raising defense. You should have 9 moves in there to get down to your first sync move. It's going to go to Jasmine for that 6x boost. Then after that, into that sort of second phase, you're beginning to attack with Barry, either Bubble or Bubble Beam. I'm never sure how much of a difference it makes between the two. With your Blastoise, you're using Water Pulse up until just before that sync move when you're going to set Rainy Day. Steelix is either doing Gyro Ball or Clang in there to refresh the move gauge and get a critical hit shield. I wasn't quite sure whether my Blastoise was going to survive Olivia's sync move, so I kind of was quick to get in there with Rainy Day. Thankfully it did. Survived the sync move. Barry had his sync move. Wasn't quite as devastating as usual. It had all 3 of the enemies still standing afterwards, which doesn't happen very often, especially with a Rainy Day boost. But again, you're back onto Bubble, Bubble Beam, Water Pulse, any Clang refreshes. I think I got quite a few in there so I could use it as much as possible. Gyro Ball, set Rainy Day again. That second sync should wipe out the sides. Olivia's still going to be there. She's a hearty lass. That's Olivia. It's really the healing that makes it take longer, so she heals quite a lot between sync moves in there. So you're just a few more Bubble Beams directed straight at her, and that should be enough to conquer round 1. In round 2, you get a status conditions boost. I wasn't quite sure to start with who I was going to use on this one, but I decided to go up against Acerola, and my team was Serena and Delphox, Phoebe and Dusknoir, and Anniversary, Lily and Lunala. So Serena is in there to cause some sleeping with her Hypnosis, Lily's in there as your striker, and Phoebe's in there as your support. So you start off with Shining Moonlight with Lily to boost up all her stats, then you're going to work with your Moongeist Beam. Serena is using Fire Spin to set some trap damage, and then is doing some Hypnosis. You can use a trainer move between that and the third move before the sync move if you want to. Phoebe starts off raising crit hit rate, but soon moves on to Unbreakable Bonds to keep that move gauge topped up. If you're trying to use a 4-bar move with Moongeist Beam and then a 2-bar move with either Hypnosis or Fire Spin, it's gonna be very taxing on your move gauge. Phoebe is 6x, so she gets that first sync move, and then you are just doing more work with Moongeist Beam. Your Hypnosis should put the other team to sleep and make sure you get ahead of that sync move countdown. You should get a second one in there before the other team gets their first one. It's going to go to Lily, she's going to do some big damage in there. And then if there are any survivors, you just use your Moongeist Beam to pick them off. In round 3, you get a special attack reduction. As with a couple of weeks ago, I didn't really feel any of the Elite Four had any special attacks that were worth reducing. So I thought, you know what, I'm taking on Hala with a fighting type team here, so I'll use it there. So neither team was at an advantage or a disadvantage. But my team for this one was Eevee and Leaf, Bee and Sirfetch'd, and Thornton and Bronzong. So here you're raising speed and attack with Sirfetch'd, you're doing Zen Headbutt with Bronzong to try and get some flinching, you're doing Tackle with Eevee, that's a 1-bar move that refreshes quite often. Eevee gets that first sync move and it's going to raise everyone's stats, so you do only need to use 2x speed and 2x attacks with Sirfetch'd to get both of those key stats maxed out. When you have done that, you're going to work with your Meteor Assault. Again, Bronzong is trying to do some flinching damage in there. Remember that if your move gauge is getting low, Eevee has Let's Go, that can refill the move gauge, obviously very key. Like I said in the last round, when you're trying to move 4-bar move and 2-bar move, trying to use 4-bar move, 2-bar move, not move 4-bar move, move 4-bar move. And then you're getting down to that sync move, it's going to come in with a big one with Sirfetch'd. I always like that animation where it's like, yeah, stab right through you. You might need to use a Meteor Assault on each side to take them out, but they're not too hardy and they don't hit too hard, so you should be able to survive whatever they throw at you. In round 4, you get a stats reduction boost. I chose to take on Kahili with this one, with Kukui and Lycanroc, Olivia and her Lycanroc, and Hilbert as my sort of support. So when those two Lycanrocs sort of tag team together, they really do make a good pairing. Make sure that you've got your stats reductions allowed on this one, because Kukui is using Leer to lower defense, Olivia is using Hard as Diamonds to boost accuracy and crit hit rate. Hilbert has 2 trainer moves that you can use, either X-Speed or X-Speed. Either X-Speed or In This Together, they're both going to be useful for your central striker. He gets that first sync move as he's 6x. If I'd have raised up Kukui to 6x, which I haven't yet, only halfway there, then I would have given it to him, because that means he can get through those shields, so physical and special attack damage, which I've set as some of my conditions. Conditions are that side, aren't they? After the sync move, Olivia is doing Stone Edge, Kukui's still onto Leer. If you've got the defense down to -6, you move on to Accelerock. I don't think you will do before you get to that second sync move. Hilbert is using up any leftover training moves and then using Water Pulse to try and get flinching in there. No, Waterfall to try and get some flinching in there. Your second sync move is going to go to Olivia. She's going to make a big gigantic rock and drop it on the other team. It's definitely going to take out Kahili. It might not take out the 2 sides, so you might need to do a Stone Edge and a Stone Edge. That's where your Accelerocks are going to come in handy to get some flinching onto the sides. But again, they're not the spicy sides that we've become used to in the Champion Stadium. In round 5 this week, you're taking on Kukui. His permanent condition this week is a physical attack boost. I chose the optional condition of a status condition boost because he was weak to fire types. I tried to do sort of a burn team with Flannery and Torkoal, but couldn't quite get it to work out, so I was like, you know what, let's just go with Charizard. So I went with Leon and his Charizard for Inferno and Burn in there. I had Tech, Egg, Ninetales because that one can set Sunny Day, and then I had Skylar and Swanna as my tank. She's got to make it in there at least once every week, doesn't she? So you're doing Take Flight with Skylar, you're doing Ember with your Ninetales, Leon's using Striker Pose and then Inferno to get burn onto there. That should take you down to your first sync move. It's going to go to Skylar for that 6x boost. After that, you're using Inferno with Leon still. Any Take Flight refreshes that you get for Skylar are going to be helpful, otherwise she's using Gusts and Potions. If you get a Striker Pose refresh, then lucky you, that's always very helpful. Yeah, Ninetales has a trainer move, I can't quite remember what it's called, but remember to set that Sunny Day as its last move before the second sync move. That's going to go to Leon to power him up and get some big damage in from there. And that big damage is enough to take out Kukui. It just leaves those two sides. Again, Leon's going to make very short work of those two. They are mild, not spicy, mild. And there's this week's 10k point run for the Alola region. Hopefully the use of some egg Pokemon makes this a little bit different to what we've done before and shows that they do have a little bit of utility in there. You don't have to rely on either May and Winona for rain or Blaine and Rapidash to set the sun. We're going to be back in the Alola region next week. I'm assuming that Howl's going to come in as the champion again, so, you know, we'll see what he comes up with and how we manage to beat him down. Just a brief point on the Galactic Awakening event, which is still ongoing. You can still earn Sinnoh tickets for that every day. The big draw of it, though, is to earn orbs that are going to power up Palkia. It gives you a couple of extra grid tiles. I'm not entirely sure which ones they are. There's definitely a free special attack upgrade in there and a health grade upgrade, maybe a speed upgrade. I personally use guides to set up my sync grids, so I'm not the person to ask about those, but they are readily available. So yeah, worth having a look to see if you need to regrid your Palkia there. So Blue has been kind enough to show us his RK9. That's not a euphemism, get your minds out of the gutter. It's another fire type striker, so it has fire shift and it has swift and hyper beam, but they're fire type attacks. The event goes on for a good sort of 3 or 4 weeks, so you don't have to rush through it. And I would recommend saving your stamina for the other more time limited events first. The other thing I would recommend is, rather than buying the upgrades to its sync move straight away, use some of your 4-star strike candies, because they've been piling up for me and I've got nowhere to use them, so it's much more useful to use them. You can either save the tickets and buy the other upgrades more quickly, or I think you probably would get a 4-star ticket out of buying them, and they're much more useful than your 4-star strike candies at this point. There have been so many Giovanni events released over the past week, it's like everywhere I go I keep seeing his face. The first one is the rerun of the Looming Shadow of Kanto. The draw of this event is that you can upgrade your Mewtwo to 6x if you haven't done already. If you already have, you don't really get any value out of buying those legendary spirits. I bought them and then transferred them back into tickets. It was a weird sort of cycle, but I couldn't stand them sitting in that menu staring at me. It's like, no, I need these gone. There's a battle challenge in there and you can earn 2 coins for it. The first one is for using 3 Kanto types. The second one is for using 1 rock type and 1 normal type. So the team I went with to cover both of those off was Swimsuit Misty, Evian Leaf, and Brock and Tyranitar. I'll be honest, I could have made this easier for myself and used Brock and Onyx and then come in with a better striker, because there are loads of options to choose for in the Kanto region, but this is what I did and I'm stubborn enough to stick to it. There's lots of healing in this team, which comes in very useful for Tyranitar because it becomes quite a slog. You need to keep him topped up and he doesn't necessarily get much healing from anywhere else. Swimsuit Misty is useful because she has full heal. The Nidoqueen in there is going to use Sludge Wave and poison type attacks. I think it has Go Viral as well, so it's going to cause poisoning onto everyone, which is highly irritating. But you've got your full heals to keep everyone from being too badly poisoned. Your first 3 sync moves are going to go to Eevee. You want to save your rock solid finishers for Brock's sync moves when they come later. You're doing Rock Slide to the enemy to try and get some flinching in there. Psyduck has Water Gun, which is a 1-bar move that refreshes. Eevee has the same with Tackle. If you ever do get low on the move gauge, you've got Let's Go in there as well. As I mentioned, Potions, Duck and Cover for some passive healing in there as well. I think it took me maybe 5 sync moves to get through this one. The sides were highly irritating on this one. These ones were spicy. These were the spicy sides that we've been waiting for. So I think in the end what I ended up doing was sync moves at Nidoqueen, Nidoking, and then attacking the sides otherwise with my attacks there. The next event was an Extreme Battle Challenge, the Team Rocket Takedown. Again, your Kanto units here get a boost, so I think I went with exactly the same team. Swimsuit Misty, Eevee and Leaf, and Brock and Tyranitar. Again, it was another slog. The strategy remains mostly the same as what I've just talked about. There are no special conditions to fulfill for this one, you just got to beat it. And again, the best way to do that is to take out sides first. The third Giovanni event this week was the Spreading Shadows event. It's again a rerun of something that came up just before the villain arc was released. With this one, you can get upgrades to Mewtwo's Sync Grid, similar to Palkia with the crystals that I mentioned earlier. There's another battle challenge for this one. Again, you've got to use 3 Kanto types to get one of your coins. The other one is to use 1 water type and 1 grass type. This was when Signasuit Erica and Signasuit Misty were released, so they were trying to get you to pull for those. I did go for Misty and Erica, but I went for Swimsuit Misty and normal Erica here. And then to round it out, I had Mewtwo as my striker. I'm not going to get too much into the weeds for this one, but the key is to keep Misty, if she's your first target, topped up as much as possible with potions, and then have Mewtwo as your striker to try and do absolute devastation onto the other team. So 2 sync moves from Mewtwo should be enough to round this one out. And then the final Giovanni event. That guy is getting excessive, you know. This one is another Extreme Battle Challenge. This is Giovanni's Malice, so he's going to take you on with his Golem here. Again, your Kanto units all get a boost for this one. So there's loads of Kanto units to choose from. Probably your favourite team of 3 of them will be enough to get the job done. I went at it with Signasuit Erica and Leafeon, Mew and Mewtwo and Giovanni, and again Swimsuit Misty and Psyduck. I really like Swimsuit Misty. She's got that Duck and Cover for passive healing, she's got Potions, full heal, 1-bar move to get the sync move counter going down. When I raise her to 6x, it will be well deserved. But Leafeon's Solar Blade comes in very handy for this one. It sort of slices straight through both sides. Kind of feel like maybe I should have aimed more at Giovanni to start off with. But yeah, it took 3 sync moves and then another couple of moves after that to take down Golem. We are now in the countdown to the 2.5-year anniversary, so expect gifties aplenty coming your way. They've revived the 10 lots of scout tickets, which I think was for the 2-year anniversary, which is something at the time I was very pleased with, and I'm glad to see it come back. On the first day, I used my pull and I got 10 3-star units. So, what can you do? You can't do anything. So the way I'm looking at this one is your chances of getting a 5-star unit are 7%. So if I get 7 5-star units out of this one, I'm doing bang on it, average. Any more than that is a bonus. And yeah, I'll have the full results of that one next week. There's also been scout tickets that have come along, so you should have got at least 1 free scout for each of the different regions. Don't forget that this Friday, probably the day this video comes out, is this month's Pokemon Masters Day, so get into that co-op and get all of the gear that I was talking about last week. The bingo has made a return. You can fill out your bingo ticket again. It's been a while since we've had one of those. So that little tile with the squares down in the corner, that's your bingo. If you haven't been playing the game as long as I have. So it might have a little red exclamation mark next to it. Tap on that and you'll see what I mean. The final thing I want to share is this absolutely crazy scout that I got. I was thinking, Cynthia's a master pair, so I'm not going to invest all of my gems into her. But I'm going to pull for all the master rewards, so the tokens and the 5-star tickets, and we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll get lucky and I'll get Cynthia once, maybe even twice. And I pulled once, got 1 5-star unit, pulled twice, didn't get any more than that. And then this madness happened. That's 4, count them, 4 Cynthias from one pull. That's insanity. I could not believe it. I was just like, I must have done something really good this week to deserve this luck. So maybe for this week you could be super cool in the comments and share your luckiest scout that you've ever got. That's definitely mine. And maybe we'll have a look at some of them in the week that will be. But this has been the week that was. You're well past the 90-second mark at this point, so thank you very much for watching. If you want to go a little bit further, you can subscribe to the channel, you can like the video, you can leave a comment, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm SEOM_YT. Hopefully you'll join me for the week that will be. Good luck for that and Masters Day, and thank you very much for watching this one, and goodbye.